Welcome into Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho.
And this is Jacob Waters.
And we are here to talk a little bit of football with you guys. A lot happened in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Some of the best football I think I've ever seen, specifically the last game of the divisional round.
For it, yeah.
A lot of fun. A lot I think has come from these games, just on like who has lost, what we're hearing, a ton of news to get to. So we're gonna go a little bit off the cuff here. Where do you want to start? We have a nice little list of things that we definitely have to touch on here.
So let's start with the games and the way that they were played, and then we'll deal with the outcomes,
okay,
like in the repercussions, I guess, from some of the teams losing. So do you want to start? We'll start with Titans and Bengals. What'd you think of that game as a whole?
I think the Titans, I think, were the better football team, certainly the better defense, but you throw 3 picks. I don't really blame Tannehill for 2 of them. One of them was a screen pass where the defender made a great play.
Very athletic play, yeah.
Exactly. But that was just one of those things. It was his only read. He threw the ball. It got tipped up in the air the right way, and the guy was able to come down with it. Second one, I think when you're driving down to kick the game-winning field goal, you maybe don't make that throw. So you can blame it on him a little bit, but it's not like he threw it right to the defender. It popped off his wide receiver's hands and landed in the defense's hands at the end of the day. First one obviously his fault, but I don't think it was a game ender by any point. That was like the first play of the game.
First play of the game.
Yeah. Other than that, obviously Joe Burrow is a really special quarterback, and the better quarterback won that game. The better offensive weapons, I think, won that game overall. Derrick Henry came out a little bit, he was okay, but they were splitting carries with him, so they clearly weren't super comfortable giving him the keys to the castle with that game. Certainly a little bit surprising for us. We thought that was going to be, we thought Derrick Henry was going to be guaranteed 25 to 30 touches. We thought that's how the game would go. Other than that, it was a fun game to watch. I know you were at the game. I was in Nashville working at a bar, so certainly a little bit of disappointment among us because we live in Nashville, but neither of us are fans, so I don't think it hurt us too bad.
Just wanted to see a good game. Got to see a good game. Battling the elements. It was cold out there, but it was part of it. We kind of feel differently about the Tannehill thing, though. I think that Tannehill is solely responsible for that loss in that game, and there are a few outs that I guess you can give him. Like you said, the second interception where it was tipped up. That's one of those things. The one that is just so egregious to me that I cannot get over is the last drive. In that moment, you're at 3rd and 5. You're sitting on the opponent's 40-yard line. So, tentatively backed up, to the point where if we don't get this, we're punting this ball away, assuming overtime with 20-ish seconds left. And he forces a comeback route that wasn't open. The guy that was on him in the first place had him heavily guarded. Okay. It's one of those things where if you're Ryan Tannehill and you're a veteran in the league and you are, I guess, controlling this offense and the way that this is going, you cannot put the team
You don't put situation. That. Yeah, you don't throw that ball, even if it isn't truly his fault. Yeah.
I don't care what circumstances, what you thought was going to happen, what anything at the end of the day was. You were the better team that day. Your defense was suffocating the Bengals. The only reason that they got what they got was because of that first play interception where the Bengals got 3 points. Then there was the second interception from Ryan Tannehill where the Bengals got that good territory and they were able to score off of that. I think the Bengals did have one good drive where they moved down the field and got a field goal at one point. So, but Burrow had over 350 yards. They were moving the ball, but it was a bend but do not break thing. 9 sacks. That is insane. You're the better football team. Maybe not offensively, but you were the better football team controlling that game. You weathered all of the early on, because at one point it was 16-3 or 13-3 or something like that. And the Titans ended up coming back and tying it up at 16-all. Tannehill, don't do that. You're the better team. Take it to overtime. And I have no doubt in my mind that if it went to overtime, Titans are winning that game, even if the Bengals won the toss.
Really?
I truly think with 9 sacks,
you're right. The defense probably shows up.
I think the Titans would have been, you just don't make that throw right there. So now we can transition to the Titans and their offseason approach. And the biggest question that I see, and it's volatile of fans, but it's just the way it goes, because you have Ryan Tannehill, who, since he has been a starting quarterback after taking over from Mariota, has the most wins of any starting quarterback in the league, because Mahomes got hurt for a little while. They had a skid early on, Deshaun's out, certain guys. It's Ryan Tannehill with the most wins, but they're saying...
Over Rodgers still?
Yeah, over Rodgers.
Really? Okay.
And they're saying it's time to get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fans are saying that, right? The fans
yeah,
are
of course,
yeah.
the fans.
I don't think they're gonna.
Nobody takes full
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna get rid of him this year. I mean, obviously, when you have a quarterback like Ryan Tannehill, an average quarterback in the NFL, I've always said like he's not special, and honestly, the bar is growing, and as that bar is, over the past 4 or 5 years, I'll say, we've had enough guys go into the league that has raised the bar for quarterback play across the league. Tannehill has been in the league in that time frame, and he's gone from a really quality average quarterback to the same guy. But it's really hard to look at him when you're looking at the playoffs and you're saying, well, Joe Burrow is a difference maker. We'll just say I'll just use the AFC as an example of the teams that played in the AFC. Joe Burrow is a huge difference maker. You got Mahomes, who's probably the best in the game, and you have Josh Allen, who's, if not the best, the second best. So you have true difference makers. Then you have a Tannehill is like, man, yeah, it's great that he can, very consistently make that, 15 to 20 yard downhill throw. That's not an easy throw that I do think it gets overlooked a little bit here and there.
Like post routes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like he's fairly accurate down the field, but I'm not going to sit here. Like I am a fan of Tannehill. I did think he got a bad rap in Miami, and I'm glad he's found success in Tennessee. But beyond that, I don't blame the team for wanting to look for other options. I don't blame fans for wanting a better quarterback, and if that shows up, that's awesome. But where are you going to get him? He's not going to be there with the 25th, 24th pick in the draft.
No, he won't
you might find him in free agency. If you can go pull Payton, or if you can go pull Aaron Rodgers, great. If you can go get Deshaun Watson, if you can get one of the top guys, awesome. But where is he if you can't get one of those top guys? I don't think Russ is going anywhere at the end of the day. I really don't. I don't think we'll talk about Rodgers in a minute, but I don't think he's going anywhere. And Deshaun is a huge question mark. At the end of the day, I get that there's a desire to replace him, and I'm not hating on that desire. But it's one of those things where where's the better option? It's not like you're a team that's sitting there at 3 overall, 6 overall, and you can go get a Kenny Pickett, or you can go take a chance on a Matt Corral or Sam Howell.
Because if you're saying those guys that you're not content with average or above average of what Tannehill's been doing, too, he's played solid at times. Yeah. Yes, this game, he let you down, Titans fans. I'm sorry. It's one of those things where his ability or lack of ability was the reason that you didn't advance. It happens. But where you're sitting, circumstance-wise, you cannot get an immediate upgrade unless in the draft. You cannot get an immediate upgrade. I'll tell you that. There's no one at that pick that you can draft and say, boom, day one, he's going to be able to go through training camp, know the playbook, and beat out Ryan Tannehill. I'm sorry.
Look, Desmond Ridder, quarterback out of Cincinnati. I really like this kid. He is a raw prospect. He needs to work on his accuracy. There's a lot of questions about his game, but overall, I do think there's a lot of upside as well. Draft him in the first.
Range. Yeah.
And he should go into the first. I think he ultimately will. I think he's going to be the same kind of Jordan Love type of quarterback that there's always one or two in the draft where they have insane ability, but it's very raw and it's there's a lot of questions about accuracy and all those other things. That's the type of guy he is in a nutshell. Go get him. Put him behind Tannehill for a year or two. I love that idea. But beyond that, I don't see a clear option to replacing him. And if there's not one, what, do you want to make a lateral move? You want to go get, let's say...
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. Yeah. You want to go get Kirk Cousins? You want to be the same but pay Kirk Cousins more? Because honestly, as far as those two quarterbacks, they're close. Maybe Kirk Cousins is a hair better. I'll give you that.
Tannehill's more athletic.
But so if they're close... You're paying Tannehill a lot less than you're paying Kirk Cousins. So, Tannehill has a fairly team-friendly deal when it comes to a quarterback. We argued that
early on, and we actually got a lot of backlash from people that knew us and whatnot. Ryan Tannehill is getting about $29.5 million.
Huge.
To be a contender on a playoff team, back-to-back division winners, we're talking 2 years removed from an AFC championship game, and to be in that kind of pay grade, I'm sorry. That is a team-friendly deal.
Absolutely.
You have all the others that are astronomical now. We're getting upwards of 30... low 40s for a lot of guys. Yeah. Matt Ryan next year is going to be the highest paid player in the NFL due to bad contracts, of course, but at $46 million.
Mm. Now, that's if he's with Atlanta.
Yeah,
and there's an out on that.
There's talks about outs and whatnot. But I'm just trying to say that you pay that position premium right now, and for what it is, Tannehill is on the upwards of that premium, but I don't think it's anything that guys can sit there and complain. You can complain about Kirk Cousins getting $42 million and not doing that. They didn't even make the playoffs.
He is not. He's on the downward. Show me a veteran quarterback who's getting paid more than him. Show me a veteran starting quarterback who is the clear starter on their team,
contender.
getting paid more than him. Quarterbacks on the rookie deals, of course, that is your window. If you have a Joe Burrow right now, if you have Mahomes for those first couple of years, Lamar, all those guys, if you have that is truly your window when you find an absolute gem of a great quarterback and you don't have to pay him for another year or two. That's truly your window to be able to pay all the other guys and have a super team around you for a couple years before you have to pay the quarterback. But other than that, it doesn't happen. The NFL is set up to where the quarterback gets about 25% of the cap. Yeah. That's what happens. Tannehill doesn't get 25% of the Titans cap. He gets significantly less than that, about 18%. That's a good deal. That is a fair and good deal.
And I think that is the main factor behind. In our notes, we have the title for this is which team missed their window. I think that is the sole factor behind why the Tennessee Titans will keep Ryan Tannehill. They are going to go into this and say, that was one of those we had some unfortunate plays, but we were the better team then. Mm-hmm. We have a good defensive unit. We have a really good head coach in Mike Vrabel who navigated all of these injuries fantastically. I still believe Coach of the Year. And unless you can somehow land a trade for Russell Wilson or a Deshaun or an Aaron Rodgers, I don't think that there's anybody off the top of my head. Perhaps a Derek Carr. Perhaps. I don't know, though, because that might just be lateral for messing up the team chemistry and whatnot top to bottom. You don't make that move because you're still a contender.
Yeah. I would sit here and say Derek Carr's better than Tannehill.
I think so, too.
But again...
But leaps and bounds to risk...
to spend an extra $10 million on? No, I don't. I mean, because I don't know how much you'd have to pay Derek Carr. To be fair, I really don't know what he's going to go for. But yeah, I don't think it's enough to really warrant making that big move. And then you're putting even more pressure on Derek Carr because as far as Titans fans and the organization is concerned, you just went out and got your guy, and that's it would be it wouldn't be a big enough upgrade in my opinion. But yeah, I absolutely agree. Let's move on to the next game that I want to talk about here. We'll go to the NFC side. Rams Buccaneers. Rams absolutely whooped the Buccaneers' ass. It's the first team since 2014, I believe, 2016, one of those two, where a team gave up 4 turnovers and still won the game in the playoffs. That was the Seahawks that did it last. Rams obviously did it this past weekend. It was an absolute blowout if it wasn't for a fumble by Akers on the goal line, about to at least at the bare minimum score a field goal before half. And then if it wasn't for a very weird, completely out of character Cooper Kupp fumble in a flat route type of a situation, a fucked up snap that goes over the quarterback's head when the quarterback isn't ready for it, and then another fumble by Akers. That's what put the game within striking distance, and still Stafford was able to bring their team down to the 10-yard line with less than 2 minutes left in the game to kick the go-ahead field goal to win it. Great game by the Rams. I'm so excited for Stafford. It feels like the Rams have hit their stride 2 weeks in a row, just dominating teams. Now, granted, the Bucs did come in undermanned, and I do want to give that note. You mentioned it before the game or last week.
It was obvious too. They blitzed over 40% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously they beat up on a Cardinals team the week before that. I think at the end of the day you can just say wasn't really prepared for the moment. There's no other way to say it. Now they have a real test going up against the 49ers this next week, who, they haven't beaten 6 games. So we'll see how that goes. But let's take a look at the Bucs first. And where are you at with this team and Tom Brady?
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about him, because I like Tom Brady a lot, and getting to see the way that he was able to handle the comeback, give it that there were so many, it's just luck that he was able to be put in that spot. And it feels like there's a lot of times in Brady's career he's had that happen to him. But it all depends with him. This team could be a contender next year. They could be a healthy contender, Super Bowl ready. If Tom Brady plays at 45 years old, it's insane to say that, but he threw for the most passing yards he ever did in his career this year, probably because of the extra game, but whatever the case may be, he's still very much elite. If he retires, it's over. I don't care who you are. I don't care what it is. If he retires, Gronk goes. This team still has a formidable defense, but there's no way. I'm sorry. You're not going to be able to replicate the same success what Brady can do for free agency, for the pull, for the team leadership overall. So he determines whether this window is open or closed.
First of all, I do agree, but I do want to just add a couple of things. First of all, just based on can Tom Brady play again? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You watched the game yesterday, and it's like he's still throwing lasers. It looks like he has a strong arm as he did 10 years ago. Honestly, it looks like he has a stronger arm than he did 10 years ago somehow. I will say, I think he got beat up by a Rams front, and that probably wasn't fun for him. I think that's probably what he could be done with, as far as like if he wants to hang it up. I think there's a couple elements, and I want to obviously the offensive line, losing some starters. He could be looking at next year and being like, man, if I lose 3 starters on my offensive line, I'm gonna have a real tough season, and I'm not getting up from these hits as easily as I was 5 years ago. So that's a real thing. And then I also think, and I could be completely off on this, I think the Ben Roethlisberger this year, he might have seen that and said, man, do I want to play until I look like that?
Yeah.
Because Ben Roethlisberger was a shell of himself this year. And there's so many examples of it. Peyton Manning is a good example. He won the Super Bowl as a shell of himself, but he was. We can all agree that was not an offensive team that won that Super Bowl all those years ago. You look at Eli Manning, another example. Like he was a shell of himself. I think Rivers is another good example of these legends of the game that we've seen retire over the past couple of years. They're playing almost too far. Tom Brady can retire at the top of his game.
And it would be disrespectful to his legacy and all he's done.
Yeah.
To see him go into a place like that.
We can legitimately say we never saw Tom Brady falter. We never saw, and he can hang it up when he still does have a year in the tank, because I guarantee you he does. I think he absolutely could play. I'm not convinced that he couldn't. I think this is obviously desire or want. A lot of his game is cerebral, and it's got to be up here. So you wonder if he has that desire, if he has that drive, and I think he'll figure that out over the next couple months, and we'll find out. Now, as far as what the Bucs can be without him, absolutely they missed their window on a Super Bowl.
Yes.
I do think you
still be a good team.
Yeah, you still have a team that's going to be competitive. I don't want to play a Bucs team that has a great offensive line, great defensive line. They're not going anywhere. Good second, great defense in general, really. There's not a whole lot of holes on that defense overall when they're healthy. And then on the offensive side, I think Godwin's probably going to be gone, right? He got franchised this past year.
Unless you up him, but I mean, you'll have a very expensive.
Granted, you wouldn't be paid in Tom Brady, but you're going to have to pay somebody. So
if Brady comes back, you pay Godwin, I think.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
You find a way to restructure,
and Godwin probably figures it out. And then Gronk probably going to retire. Gronk and Brady are probably going to be making a speech at the same day on
a package.
Yeah. They're probably going to be entering the Hall of Fame at the same time, I would imagine. That just feels like the way it's going to go, because I mean, Gronk, I think second with their team in passing yards or receiving yards last week. So yeah, I do agree with you ultimately what you said. I just wanted to add a little bit that, like, man, Tom Brady still looks good.
One of the things that he said in a post on social media was that he owes it to his wife. She's worried about the hits that he takes, and he owes it to his kids to be the dad that he wants to be there. You mentioned Ben Roethlisberger, and you see him after the game in an ice bath, and I mean, like, you have bags of ice taped to his knees, to his thighs, to his shoulders. He's struggling to walk around. It's very obvious that the toll that the game that he has put into it. And, and you saw that with Payton a little bit, because Payton had a serious neck injury, but he was never to the point, I would say, of a Ben Roethlisberger deteriorated. Some of the stuff that I've seen, you don't want Brady to get like that. He doesn't want himself to get like that, because at that point, your love for the game is starting to affect your love for life at home after the game. And Brady's one of the few people where your game career can extend longer than your outside life of it. But there's a lot of players out there who have a good player in the NFL can have a 4 to 8 year stint, and you still have the far majority of your life to live and take care of your body and your health. So it just depends on if he can line that stuff up.
Yeah, he's getting close.
If you had to guess, yes or no.
I do think he comes back. I've never seen him quit. I've never seen. Now this is different, because I will be honest. When I saw that report during the game or whatever, I kind of thought it was bullcrap. And usually when reports happen like that in the NFL, the next day somebody turns it down. Brady last year at this time was saying, "Oh, I'm playing 2022 regardless of the Super Bowl."
Yeah,
right?
It was already running back
so
before,
he knew it. This year it is different. I think there's some real stuff to it. I'm taking a guess if he's going to play or not. I do think he will, because I think he'll look at this team and be like, man, not a lot missing from the Super Bowl run team. It's really not. And really, this year was injuries. Yeah, so it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Packers. This is a big question of, does Aaron Rodgers show back up? I don't know to speak to that, but I mean, you still also have their best weapon on that team going to be entering free agency here.
Yeah.
There's just questions, man. I have a lot of questions about this team.
I think that the Packers are going to take the easy route here. I think that they're going to find a way to make this work with Aaron Rodgers, and then they're going to franchise tag Devontae.
Yeah.
And because, you don't lock yourself down to Devontae for the long term kind of thing. You get that 1 year where he can be pissed off, but he's still going to play. Aaron Rodgers is there. And I think that is the most likely outcome that we are going to see. There is a realm here where Aaron Rodgers, for whatever reason, I don't know his thoughts on the game and maybe why he thinks he thought they lost that game. So I don't know if he's the one accepting responsibility or if he is saying, I don't have the weapons around me in order to do this. Let me go pursue those options elsewhere. Ultimately, he's going to be the guy here because we've seen the power that he likes to have and pull with that team. If he goes, I think Devontae goes. I see the Packers, they can fall right there. LaFleur's a good coach. They still are a good team, but you cannot replace that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it all year. I think the only difference between this game and the majority of games that the Packers played this year was this game we didn't see the awesome play by Aaron Rodgers to change the tides. So I think that's really the only thing. I mean, you saw it multiple times throughout the season. Every single game, pretty much, Rodgers would make a crazy play. He would make an awesome throw, and I think maybe conditions got to him. I don't know what the defense was doing, but I assume they pretty much locked Devontae down and basically said beat us with somebody else.
And that's exactly why he could be pissed off if they doubled him.
But at the end of the day, if that's what it is for Rodgers, keep Devontae. I'm sure Devontae wants to, if Devontae has Aaron Rodgers, he has going to have a great career, right? So Devontae knows that. He has to be aware that he's in a pretty good situation with Aaron Rodgers there, assuming Aaron Rodgers still wants to be there. But keep Devontae. Go get a second wide receiver, and is the problem solved? Because to me, honestly, I look at this as like a team building thing. And ultimately, I don't have a whole lot of issues. I don't understand why you drafted an AJ. Help me out there. AJ Dillon, thank you. Why you drafted an AJ Dillon in the second round and then paid Aaron Jones to split carries with Aaron Jones?
$14 million.
Aaron Jones is a great running. You don't pay a running back $14 million to split carries.
Yeah.
And you don't draft his successor in the second round and still pay that guy.
It's counterintuitive.
It's just a weird thing, right?
Both.
Yeah, like that, and that's a small thing, but that's $14 million that could be going somewhere else. That's $14 million that could have gone out and grabbed a top end wide receiver in free agency, or traded for one to pay him, or freaking got Odell, excuse me. Yeah. Odell, who was on the market there for a minute. That's, and obviously you can still get one in the draft. I don't know. It's weird. I don't get the issues with Rodgers and the organization. It seems like the organization has done everything they can to repair that relationship. It seems like from the outside looking in, like there's no reason Rodgers would leave when you have a pretty good offensive line. Okay, yeah, you could use another piece, but you have a pretty good offensive line. You have a really good defense. Your defense held the 49ers to 3 points.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like it was.
Fire your special teams coach.
Yeah, exactly. Get a new special teams is the weakness of your team. Okay, that's fixable.
You can knock that most days. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a tough one for me. There's a part of me who would love to see Rodgers in a different uniform. I know there's a part of you.
I just can't. Oh, of course, as a Vikings fan, I would love it. I would love it if he pulled a Brett Favre and came on down. It would be absolutely incredible. I welcome you with open arms. That's for sure. I can't picture it though.
Yeah.
A lot of people said it with Brett though. They said that there was just no way. Gunslinger, been on that team forever, Iron Man, it doesn't make sense to see him in another spot. Peyton Manning, same exact thing. Tom Brady. We've seen it. Guys go towards the end right there. If Aaron Rodgers goes, Devontae Adams is 1,000% going to wherever Derek Carr is at.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love that. I love that idea.
I love that. And Devontae straight up said it, that he wants to play with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
He loves playing with Rodgers, and he loves the connection that they have.
Course.
But Derek Carr's his guy.
Yeah, Fresno State. And I like Derek Carr. I'm higher on Derek Carr than most people
what
are.
The Raiders need?
They could use a piece.
They could.
Their first round wide receiver somewhere.
So
in
Packers window. Let's operate off. We both think that he stays. But let's
so
operate
window's not
gone.
over. Yeah.
But if he's gone,
window's gone. Yeah, I don't.
How bad is the window?
I mean, it's
Jordan Love is your starter in the 2022 season.
Look, I loved it. Look, I loved him coming out. I think if longtime listeners of this pod know that, I know I got a lot of crap for it. I don't love, I think he went to a perfect situation. As far as what I was saying throughout, that draft was like, let him learn behind somebody, let him work on his mechanics, all those things. The little tidbits of time that I've seen with him haven't been super impressive, but like the one game that I saw with him this year was backups, right? Or at least week 17 or week 18 was backups. I think he played one other game coming in to replace Aaron Rodgers for 1 week. I don't really begrudge him for not looking like a superstar in those like little bitty moments, but at the same time, you're not going to replace Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to be like the fact that Aaron Rodgers was able to replace a Brett Favre and be better than Brett Favre is absolutely insane. If that happened again, it's possible. I love the arm talent. I love the physical ability. I'm not going to sit here and say it's out of the realm possibility, but there's a 0.1% chance that actually happens. Like, he's not going to be better than Aaron Rodgers.
And because they already hit that. Exactly. Imagine having two GOATs of the game in Brett, who at the time, while Brett was a top five, since we've seen so many more amazing quarterbacks come, he's since gotten ticked down just a little bit there, and Aaron Rodgers surpassed him. You have those quarterbacks for 30 years total time, and you have 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I kind of understand why Aaron Rodgers would be upset, because it's, he probably is looking at management and it's just like, what happened? Then again, I understand where Aaron Rodgers, kind of sounds like he's not thinking of it like the business aspect that it really is.
Yeah.
He got upset that they let go of an A.J. Hawk for a while. They didn't pay him. He got upset that they let go of a Clay Matthews. They didn't pay him. He got upset when they let go of who's the receiver that they brought back this year that he was
Jordy Nelson? Was it Nelson? Or was
very
it
upset about Nelson, but they ended up bringing this guy back.
It was from the Texans. I can't remember his name.
And he was contributor to the whole team.
I lost his name. I don't know.
He was just upset that they got rid of all of his old running buddies, I guess, and the way that they handled it.
Yeah, I think even more than that, at least from listening to him on the Pat McAfee show and explaining it a little bit, my sense was that he felt like he deserved a seat at the table in the decision making, right? And he didn't feel like the team. He does. He absolutely does. And he didn't feel like the old heads that were in charge were giving him that opportunity, probably because the old heads had never thought to give a player the opportunity to sit at the table. Aaron Rodgers is a little bit different. You deserve to give him that. All right, I think we hit on that. Let's talk about the the one game that involved 2 teams that are absolutely not out of a window, no matter who you are.
Wow.
The Bills and Chiefs. Absolutely amazing game.
Best game I've ever seen.
Game of the century. Definitely game of the decade. I mean, the decade just started.
It was incredible.
I mean, I can't remember a better game. I really can't. This was the Super Bowl. This was, 4 lead changes in 2 minutes of time in the game. This was, you could blame them on not squibbing the kick with 13 seconds left after the Bills went down and scored a touchdown. But imagine being Josh Allen. I want to start here with Josh Allen just because, Mahomes has already been there, done that. He's been a star. Josh Allen, I really feel like, has had to battle the adversity of not everybody has really been paying attention to how good he is. And we've been on him for a couple of years, even before he had his blow-up season last year. I think we were both on him. He was my number 1 quarterback coming out of that class. I love Josh Allen coming out. I'm always a big fan of big physical quarterbacks that have great arm talent. So like he's up my alley as far as like the style of play I like. And then this year, he finally gets the chance on the biggest stage that he's really had in the divisional round game to show, he might be better than Mahomes. You can't sit here, you can't watch that game and say he was worse.
He showed that.
And
Josh Allen in the playoffs had 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He had 12 incompletions.
Wild.
In 2 games.
Wild.
Unheard of.
And then to say all that about him, and then 13 seconds left in the game, you just went down, won the game for your team, you're going to the championship game. Oh, wait, Mahomes has 2 throws to get it inside the 40 to have a chance. And what does he do? Oh, he gets inside the 30 in 2 throws. Now, do you want to touch on the decision-making at the end? I didn't have a huge issue with it. I know it's been a talking point. I don't know if you want to go there with it.
No, I know that there's people who talk about it. I think it's one of those things where, listen, it's storybook written. It didn't matter what defense I think you played, what was going on right there. I think that it was just... It was in the cards. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm talking about
the backed off,
the non-squid kick. I'm talking from there. They could have squibbed it. I know I think the announcer was saying, "Oh, squib this and take the time off the clock," and they didn't. Was it Romo who said that? Okay, yeah. So I remember the announcer saying that. It was Romo saying that. At the time, I get that thought process. But I'm also thinking, which team has the most explosive players on the field at pretty much all times? You got Hill and Hardman. You have so many track meet guys on that team. I wouldn't want to squib it and give. They also have timeouts, right? So I wouldn't want to squib it and give the ball at the 40 with 6 seconds left.
That ball the absolute as far as I could.
Yeah.
You give it to him at the 25, and if it's 13 seconds, all you need is the first play to be an incompletion, and we're talking Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and even after they got the completion there, which, maybe you man up on Hill and don't give him a free release and blockers in front of him. I get that, but that hindsight's 2020 on that one. That's a tough one to sit there. No one was sitting there at that game thinking that the Chiefs were going to push it to overtime. Do you want to talk about the overtime rules? I know that's a big question.
That's what I was going to ask you, because the more important argument behind that, we saw this a few years ago whenever Mahomes was on the other side of this, and it was the Chiefs-Patriots.
Yeah.
And, Andy Reid and the Chiefs put in a form to change the rule after the fact. And Andy Reid, I respect him for this because he kept the same tone. He didn't change it up. Mm-hmm. He said, we lost it then, we benefited from it now. I do think it should be changed still.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, and I think, I don't know, it's tough. All right, so there's a couple different ways you can go with it. I agree that the rule could be altered, and it wouldn't bother me a whole lot. I don't ultimately hate where it's at now, because there was a time when a field goal won in overtime.
That was bad. Yes.
And that was kind of unfortunate, where it's like, man, you get the ball, at the time I think it was the 20-yard line, but you get the ball, if you win the coin toss, all you have to do is drive, 40 yards?
Yeah, get to the 40 and kick.
And you're good.
Kick.
I mean, so it's a long kick, but if you have a good kicker, you're done. You're there right there. Exactly. You win the game with 40 yards of offense. That doesn't seem fair. They won the game with 75 yards of offense. I understand in this situation, it truly was, if the roles reversed, if it was tails instead of heads, Josh Allen is in the championship. There's no convincing me that they wouldn't have won that game. But defense is part of the game. Defense is a real part of the game. It's not like their team wasn't out there. It's not like this is baseball and the team had no chance of scoring a point. Like, defense can score, defense can play, defense can make a play. I get that it didn't happen. I get that this is a rare situation. But at the end of the day, I don't know that this one game is a reason to change it. I would have loved it. I would have loved more football. But in this particular game, especially when the offenses were playing at a level I don't think we've really ever seen, when both offenses are performing at that high of a play, both quarterbacks making insane plays, play after play after play, it was just the Bills were going to go score a touchdown too, and then it's sudden death again. Right, and then now all the Chiefs need to do is score a field goal.
And then the problem is, at some point, there's always going to be the next rule change. There's always going to be, well, they, like you said, say the Chiefs and Bills go at it again, and it's like, okay, then after both teams score a touchdown, the one next point wins or something, and then it's like, okay, well, why are we doing it like this now? You know, and then you get to the whole thing with college, and then you have the long runs, and you have the chance for player injury out on the field and whatnot. I think it's good where it's at. I think it's one of those things that we have to live and die by it,
Yeah. And maybe, what I think I would like? Maybe no kicking in overtime. Maybe a touchdown wins and 2 points wins. I mean, like 2 points. Like I would hate to take an aspect of the game away. And I know that would never happen. But force them to only 2 point conversions in overtime or something along those lines. There could be changes in a game like that where I just didn't want it to end. And no matter what happened throughout the game, you feel bad for the quarterback that lost. If Mahomes would have lost that game, you would have felt terrible, right?
For Josh Allen, it's
I felt terrible for Josh Allen, but I would have felt bad for Mahomes. Mahomes absolutely deserved to win that game just as much as Josh Allen did. They both played great. Both teams played great. It was truly down to which quarterback gets the ball last.
Is Mahomes going to be Josh Allen's Peyton Manning?
We talked about this last year, and I actually I was thinking about it last night, and I didn't do it. I should have. I was thinking about going and finding the clip of us talking about the Bills and Chiefs last year, because they played last year too, right? And I said, this could be the Bills' kryptonite. It wouldn't surprise me 5 years from now if we're talking about this being, the storyline.
Yeah.
Can the Bills get past the Chiefs?
Fast forward 10 years, and Mahomes has 3 or 4-ish rings, could be more, could be whatever, but Josh Allen's made it to one.
Or never been there.
He finally got, because for the longest time in Peyton Manning's career, they would always, and I mean always, meet the Patriots in the divisional round or in the championship game. And very few times in between. There were the occasional Chargers teams in the 2007 to 10 range where Antonio Gates and Rivers and Tomlinson were balling. That was the matchup, though.
Yeah.
And very few times Manning got the upper hand on that. And he still played phenomenal games. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. If you talk about my memory of Manning in his prime, it was losing to Brady. That was my memory. Back when I was just a casual fan of other teams and a diehard Dolphins fan, it was you watched Peyton and Brady play. You always did. Even if you were a casual fan, you wanted to watch that game. Brady won.
Peyton made it to one Super Bowl with the Colts.
Yeah.
And he won.
Yeah. Made it to one. Yeah, exactly. And
until he was able to get out and get the scenery change and go to Denver, it was Tom Brady's time.
Yeah,
the entire way.
It would not surprise me a bit if the same deal is with Mahomes. I do believe, and let's touch on how we expect the games.
For Josh Allen,
I love Josh Allen, but I'm also a Dolphins fan, and the Bills have been crushing the Dolphins the past couple of years with Josh Allen, so it's a little bit hard for me. But I think it'll be interesting. I think there's a new crop of quarterbacks that are going to start to really show up next year too. That's going to be interesting and might change the landscape a little bit. Let's move forward. Quick reactions. We're not going to go into like gambling advice or anything on these games. But championship weekend, AFC, the Bengals are the surprise team facing the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I think it's a 7-point line. Is there any chance for the Bengals in this game?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Chiefs have a good D-line.
I will say this. If Mahomes comes out and plays like they played the first weeks 1 through 6, for sure. Yeah. Totally. And Burrow and the Superstars, I know that they got some stuff going on. Titans lost that game. I stand by that. The Chiefs are a different beast in this time of year.
We were at the Dolphins-Titans game in Tennessee and we were leaving the stadium when I believe it was the Chiefs were on the goal line, or the Bengals, were on the goal line about to kick the field goal to win that game. And that's what, prompted the Titans to get that number 1 seed and get the bye. You don't think there's a repeat of that game? I didn't watch that game. I didn't go back and watch it, so I don't really remember.
I didn't get to go back and watch it, and I guess you could say with that being the last week of the year, that was toe-to-toe Bengals showing that they have something for the Chiefs. I just think it's different. I'll tell you this. I know in mid-January, football's different.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Yeah. And you're talking about a team that's been there, done that, arguably has more talent when you talk about it across the board. And really, if you go position group by position group, I don't know how many position groups the Bengals are really winning. They do have the better talent, and they've been there. I just don't know how the Bengals win this game. I will say, a lot of Bengals fans were obviously in Nashville. I work at a hotel, so I talked to a lot of them that night after the game, and I was saying, hey, who do you want? Like, who do you want the Bills or you want the Chiefs? And it was down the middle, but there was a majority Chiefs. There was a lot of teams that said Bills. There's a lot of teams that are like, man, we don't want to face Mahomes again. We beat him once. I don't know if we can beat him again. But at the end of the day, yeah, more teams definitely did want the Chiefs. Or more fans wanted the Chiefs. So they got what they wanted. I think regardless, it was going to be a tough matchup. I mean, God.
I don't think I've heard some people trying to say, looking into the tea leaves a little bit and saying, like, after this monumental game of the century for Mahomes and the Chiefs, there's got to be a little bit of a letdown, right? I think the train is going, and it is not stopping.
That might be a real point. I don't know, but I don't think so. 49ers, Rams, I hinted at it a little bit earlier. Rams have not beaten the 49ers in 6 games. That's what you told me before we started recording.
3 years straight.
Yeah, 3 years straight, and that's pretty much Kyle Shanahan's tenure, right?
Kyle Shanahan
has been there for 4 years or 5 years.
He has the Rams number and he has the Packers number. Yeah. And we said it last week when we called the 49ers beating the Packers because there's certain times I don't give a damn about your record. I don't give a damn what it is. Certain guys know certain guys, and there you go.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do think the Rams are the better football team. I look at the Rams D-line overall, from top to bottom, I think is better than the 49ers D-line. That's a close one, but that's both strengths of their defenses there. Rams everywhere else, I would say the Rams are probably better, secondary and all that. And then, yeah, obviously I think Matt Stafford is significantly better than Garoppolo. I want to, let's play out the scenario, right? Yeah. Regardless, on the NFC side at least. Rams win this game. Matt Stafford goes to the Super Bowl. Matt Stafford Chiefs, we're saying.
Yeah.
What a great game that will be. I think that will be a lot of fun to watch.
That's the game that I want.
I will be rooting for Matt Stafford. I will be rooting for the Rams. I am rooting for the Rams the rest of the way just because I think we counted it when the game was happening. Like, they have, 7 Hall of Famers probably? Mm-hmm. And there's a couple that probably aren't first ballot, but there's a handful.
The only one who has a ring is Von Miller on that.
Exactly. I mean, so, there's just a hope that a lot of those guys get in and are able to at least get one before it's over. And it does feel like they're a super team right now. They're healthy. They're ready to go. And then on the other side, the 49ers, kind of in a different situation where already you have Garoppolo, the guy that you traded up in the draft to replace.
3 firsts.
Leading you in who is the reason Garoppolo essentially in a roundabout way is the reason you don't have a first round pick over the next 3 drafts or 2 drafts, I guess. Do you get a little bit nervous if the 49ers win that game? Say they go in and they have a good game plan against the Chiefs. They've been there before. That game has happened before. Rematch, 49ers Chiefs. And 49ers somehow win that game, win the Super Bowl. What do you do with Garoppolo then?
It's something we talked about in the beginning. But then the 49ers were 2-6, and we were like, okay, well, we don't have to worry about that. We're on championship weekend.
Meanwhile, I mean, we haven't heard a peep out of the backup. We haven't heard. And granted, I guess you don't. But I will say, and this is a bad example because we're talking about one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. But when Alex Smith was playing great and going into the playoffs, the year that Mahomes was the backup, they traded up to draft Mahomes at 10 overall. There was still chatter that, man, this backup is good.
Yeah.
There was chatter going into the playoff. I remember the last game of the season they didn't play, and you saw Mahomes play, and he looked really good then. There was chatter leading up to that game. There was chatter in the playoffs. So it was like, man, they might be done with Alex Smith no matter what happens here. There was chatter. I've heard no chatter like that out of 49ers camp. Maybe I'm just not hearing it. Maybe it's
started
there.
Limiting the packages because for a while during the regular season, they would bring him in. They would bring him in on some goal line stuff. They would put him in this 49er Wildcat situation where he would still get out there. They dumbed that down after week 8.
Completely gone.
They quit doing that.
Yeah, and you kind of halfway expect there to be something over the next 2 weeks, probably, or 3 weeks, I guess. That maybe he gets a package.
Trey Lance is going to get a package in this game just to try to mix things up and be cute with it, I think. But
man, it's weird, and it's a really weird situation because even now, you're a top 4 team in the NFL right now. Do you really go back to square one with Trey Lance and start with a brand new rookie quarterback? You basically said that you love him. You basically said that you traded away your future assets to go get this guy.
We've never seen something like this.
It's weird, isn't it?
People equate it to Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. It's not that.
No.
Because you don't have the Aaron Rodgers, and also you don't have the capital that is an unheard of
Jordan
trade.
Love was a back of the first trade. They traded up 3 spots with the Dolphins to go get him. They gave up a very meaningless pick to go grab. It makes the
Packers sound stupid, and also makes the 49ers sound stupid.
Yeah, but I mean, the Packers, I don't feel like gave up a lot. And even when it happened, before we knew how Aaron Rodgers was going to react to it, it didn't feel like the stupidest thing in the world. Okay, you're grooming a successor, and if it doesn't work, you wasted a back end of the first round pick that doesn't work out half the time anyway, right? Not the end of the world. You traded up to the 3rd pick in the draft. You passed on Jamar Chase, who very well could have been rookie of the year this year. You passed on a bunch of guys that you traded up to go get, and he doesn't play, and you have a guy who just brought you to the championship game. It's tough because obviously Garoppolo isn't a superstar. Garoppolo is probably in that same conversation as a Ryan Tannehill,
he's a game manager. He can make the plays. He can win you a game. He can also very much be the reason you don't.
If the 49ers lose to the Packers, we're probably looking at him and saying, man, that interception really hurt. Mm-hmm. That lost in the game right there. I don't know, man. It's a tough situation, as we said, and it'll be really, really interesting.
What if we get Bengals 49ers?
Be fun.
Remember, we were talking about our odds last week, and that being the most unlikely outcome out of all of them, because those are the 2 underdogs in this playoffs right now.
It's a real likelihood now. Yeah, I could have bet 10 to win like 500, I think, or something like that. It was wild.
There's a world.
Yeah,
I don't want that. I think that would be an underwhelming matchup. I'm sorry. I'll say it.
I really
Give me
think
Chiefs Rams.
I think the most fun team right now when they're hot and their offense is working is the Bengals right now. And I'm not saying the best team. I'm not saying the team that deserves to win it all. And I don't think the Bengals will win. But I'm saying the most fun team to watch right now is when Jamar Chase is killing it, when T. Higgins is out there, and Joe Burrow is just being a dude.
Yeah,
it's just fun. It reminds me of Mahomes his first year when he was just slinging it, right?
So how about this then? Anyone but the 49ers.
Yeah, I don't really want the 49ers.
I don't want to see a boring zone read scheme. Yeah, I don't want to see a low score.
I don't want to see it where it's like, man, when's Garoppolo gonna fuck up? Like I don't want the game to come down to that because it did last year and it probably will this year.
It's like 3rd and 6 and it's like, here's another play action.
Yeah, exactly. So I do agree. I really, really, really want Rams.
We're spoiled.
Rams
we sound like spoiled people now.
Oh yeah, we just got the best game ever.
We got to see Mahomes like doing the underarm, sidearm passes around defenders. Josh Allen just throwing piss missiles to Gabe Wright. Crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, so we hit on most everything we wanted to talk about. Let's quickly touch on Sean Payton before we get out of here. Sean Payton walking away as head coach of the Saints. We just found this out. We're recording Tuesday morning, about an hour after this news broke. There was rumors about it. I didn't believe the rumors. I thought that was all bullcrap. I thought it was Payton, waiting for a big payday because his contract was up and he's one of the best coaches in the league. I was wrong on that one. It's interesting. Let's see. What do you think about it?
It's different. The Saints go from 3 years ago, being a very, very big Super Bowl contender, just powerhouse of the NFC, to $73 million over the cap. Not even like they're hitting par right now. They are $73 million over cap. They are losing their Hall of Fame coach and they lost their Hall of Fame quarterback a year back. This team's struggling right now.
Yeah.
They are a good team on paper, though. If they can get the right guy in here and kind of balance out the books, let go of some of those aging guys. I know they have a few guys on the defensive side of the ball, a little older. Might be time to just cut some ties. It might be hard on some of the fans, but it's a business. You gotta get there.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I don't know exactly what to expect.
I don't know how they're gonna do it. They gotta pay Jameis, don't they?
Probably, right?
If he's your future or whatever.
He got hurt. He's playing okay before he got hurt. There was no real issue there.
He's doing good.
Do you go get Flores? Flores to me is the top head coaching candidate, and it's kind of weird to me that he's not getting a little bit more buzz than he has. Granted, he got fired by the Dolphins. There must be something within NFL circles that hasn't gotten out that is there that I'm missing, because I just don't know what it is.
It could be the amount of power that he wants.
He might want Bill Belichick out.
I could see owners being tentative on because he got to see how Bill ran things.
Yeah.
And he said, if you want a successful team top to bottom, he has to have this type of influence on it. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of coaches out there who get a lot of flack and blame for stuff that they don't even get to control.
They're hamstrung by decisions that they don't get to make.
They didn't even really have the biggest say in who that player that they drafted was.
Yeah.
They just now have to make it work. So Flores is saying, if I'm going to put my name and credibility on my job, give me the power.
Yeah, I a little bit wonder if that's what happened with the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. I mean, the buzz was leading up to the draft that it was Mac Jones. Mac Jones fit the scheme really well, or at least in theory made sense, made a whole lot of sense. And then all of a sudden it was Trey Lance, and I do wonder if the owners got involved because the entire fan base was losing their shit that Mac Jones might be their starter.
Well, we knew that it was John Lynch and Shanahan differed on that opinion, I don't know. I'm just using that as an example of, they're going to be in a weird situation not that long ago. It does behoove a coach to earn, and I believe he did earn the right to ask for as much power as he could get from the Dolphins. The Dolphins obviously didn't want to give it to him. But not from any employer.
Now, the Dolphins are in a bad spot. The Dolphins have nobody that wants to go be a head coach for the Dolphins right now. There's none of the top candidates are interested in the Dolphins job. So they're in a tough spot. Flores is gone. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. I think that makes a whole lot of sense to me. I just read a Bleacher Report article saying that, the Saints defensive coordinator is the top candidate, Dennis Allen, and the Lions DC, Aaron Glenn are candidates there.
Defense.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I guess we'll end it there. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think we got it, man.
All right, man. Championship weekend next week. Super Bowl 3 weeks from now.
Give me your picks.
Super exciting.
Last second, then. I mean, Chiefs Rams. We both feel the same.
Chiefs Rams. Yeah, I'm right there. I would take. I think Chiefs to cover. I don't know what the line is with the Rams, but I'm sure the Rams are favored. And
probably like 3.5, 4.
Man, the Rams did exactly what they did against the Bucks in the last game of the season. The Rams could have kicked the 49ers out of the playoffs. The Rams were winning that game for 3 quarters, and the 49ers came back and won the game. They're the better team. They crack under pressure.
What's that stat? Sean Payton is 46-0 when leading at half, and now he's 46-1, and that one was that game.
Yeah, wild. Absolutely wild. All right, we'll end it right there. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.
7.